Hey everyone, welcome back. So today we're going to be reviewing Aspyr Ina's Tale for the Nintendo Switch. So if we start with the basics, this game is a 2D puzzle platformer. It's going to be released on December 17th of 2021 and will be selling on the Nintendo Switch eShop for $12.99. The game was published by Untold Tales and it has a download size of 1.1 gigabytes. Now, as you're watching this review, if you do like the content, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel if you aren't already. Beginning with the storyline. You awaken to find yourself in a tower where you were imprisoned and put into a perpetual slumber. The story here quickly becomes one of self-discovery, where there are tones of sadness and the impact that your own growth will have on those around you as you try to escape the tower. The characters here are written very subjectively, and a lot of different interpretations can be made about their intentions and also representations. The same can be said about the overall message the game is trying to convey. Those that enjoy psychological-based narratives will have a lot to dive into. On the gameplay side, things are fairly straightforward. You are presented with a linear progressing challenge split into a few overarching themes. But as games before it, such as Limbo, they will feel like one linear progression. Each new section or theme will also introduce a new mechanic and character, culminating into a final section that combines all previous mechanics. There are also a few optional hidden items to find which will give you deeper insights into the various characters. It took me approximately 3 hours to complete the game. On the gameplay side, I found the progression and variation in puzzles satisfying, although a few control issues that did hinder me, which we will look into next. On a side note, I also did manage to soft lock a few times due to minor glitches. Luckily, this only meant reloading the latest checkpoint, of which there are many, so you maybe only lose a couple of minutes of progression. Since this is a pre-release of the game, it is quite normal. Hopefully, many of these will be patched out quickly, but none were game-breaking. Ultimately, the game is short but pleasing to complete. Now, jumping into those controls. Once again, they are fairly simple, focusing on primarily 4 buttons: B for jumping, Y for interacting with switches or the environment, and X for interacting with the various spirits. Later on, you'll also have to use the R button to alternate when you are controlling more than one spirit. Now, the previously mentioned issue I had was the controls feel sluggish. And although for most sections of the game this feels deliberate, given the almost dreamlike feeling of the game, there were a few puzzles that demanded quicker reflexes, and this sluggishness did cause me a bit of frustration. Failing a puzzle because you don't know the solution is fine, but when it's the responsiveness of the controls, it's less pleasing. Overall, this was present in only a few specific instances, but enough to note, and it did take me out of the game a bit. Now for the graphics and sound. Visually, this game's background and overall presentation is stunning. The developers also bank on this, with the camera panning out at different moments to show off all that beauty. Even the darker and more sinister parts of the game have a dark beauty to them. Oddly enough, the only thing that was slightly underwhelming visually was our main character. That seems slightly muddier and less defined than the environments and other characters. However, I would say that this is only noticeable because of the juxtaposition with the other stunning elements. There were a few small frame dips, especially during those panned out sections, but they were not very noticeable and might even be missed if you aren't looking for them. Sound-wise, once again, it was quite enjoyable, with each section having its own melody to accompany it. Especially marking was the track that accompanies the ending of the game. There was not a huge variety on offer, but with a short game like this one, none wore out their welcome. Ultimately, the primary characteristic that will draw you and make you either love or hate this game will be the visuals and sound. So now it's time for the verdict. And as usual, if you want to see my full grading scale, it's available down below in the description of the video. Now in the case of Aspyr Ina's Tale on the Nintendo Switch, I'm going to be giving the game a 6.5, putting it on the high end of a decent game. Now, overall, this is a slightly higher than average score. And I would say that depending on the visual and auditory appeal the game will have on you, you might actually be able to score it higher. In the end, if you are a huge puzzle platformer fan and the visuals resonate with you, this could definitely be a game to pick up. On the other hand, if you're not a huge fan of the genre that needs a new game to play, I would definitely say wait for a sale on this one. So now I throw the question back to you. Are you going to be picking up Aspyr Ina's Tale on the Nintendo Switch? Let me know down below in the comments. And don't forget, on the way out, as usual, if you did like the content, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, and hit the notification bell so you know when all my future content comes out. And as usual, hope I'll see you in my next video.